Yo, what up everybody? It's Slummy here, and this week I'm coming at you with a PvP build. This one I dubbed the Tank Destroyer. It's a Magicka Sorceress DPS build. The reason why I call it the Tank Destroyer is for some reason I'm having a lot of good luck defeating tanks in the PvP zone. I don't know if it's just I got lucky and their skill base is not as good or what, but that's why I dubbed it the Tank Destroyer. Basically, just a heads up, this is a beginner PvP build. I'm only 4 days into PvP, and I could tell you my first day was an absolute bitch. When people say PvP is a completely different beast, they were not kidding. I went into Cyrodiil with my PvE gear and PvE setup, and I got absolutely destroyed. Pretty much two-shot all the time. I was dying. I probably died 100 times my first day in, so I tried to focus this build on surviving first, sustain second, and then damage third, and I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. Again, if you have a better build, post it in the comments below, because I'm still learning PvP, and I know there's so many better builds out there. This is just the build that helped me in the beginning stages, and as I start progressing, I'm going to start swapping out gear to get more damage and more max magicka out of it. So for this character, here are the stats. I have a tri-stat potion activated, so this increases my max health and max stamina. I know a lot of people recommend Witch's Brew for magicka DPSs, but again, I focus this build more on surviving. So the extra stamina really does help, because when you're in situations and you need to get away, that little bit of stamina has saved my ass so many times. So with the tri-stat potion activated, my max magicka is at 38,000, max health at 16,000. I know a lot of people recommend 20,000. So again, if you have a better build for a sorceress DPS, post it in the comments below, because like I said, I'm still learning and I really do like PvP and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and so I want to continue to grow my character in there. Max stamina at 16,000. My spell damage is at 2,600. My spell crits at 32%. I do not have Inner Light equipped on this character, so you could always throw that on your front and back bar to increase your spell critical a little bit. My spell and physical resistance, 13,000, 10,000. It is somewhat decent for a magicka DPS, so I do like those stats, but I will try to increase them a little bit more, probably as I upgrade my gear. My critical resistance is at 1,700. All my attributes in the magicka, the boon active is the apprentice for the additional spell damage. So with that being said, let's get into the gear. So for my front bar, I have a Flaming Spinner's Inferno Staff. I have the Absorb Magicka enchantment on here that deals the 2,500 magicka damage, but also restores 354 magicka. I also have the charge effect on it to increase the applied status effect. Basically, I like this enchantment because, like I said, it's all about sustain in PvP. If you are having issues managing your resources, you're screwed, especially on a magicka character. If you have no magicka left, you're done. So I did try to get a little bit extra restoration for my magic on there, so that's why I have this enchantment on the Spinner Staff. For my back bar, I have the Restoration Staff of Julianos, Ninhone, to increase the damage of the weapon by 15%. You can also apply poisons. I haven't messed around with the poisons yet, so I'll make another video as this build progresses to let you know what poisons I recommend. So for my gear, I have heavy Iambus on the head, and on my shoulders I have Grothdars. Like I said, this build is more sustain and surviving, so the reason why I don't have a monster set is, for one, Iambus is I found that in PvP, people are moving around constantly, so it's kind of pointless to have a effect where it deals damage in an area where people can just move out of the way. So I kind of substituted the 2-piece for a 1-piece of Iambus and Grothdar to add a little bit more max magicka to my build. Like I said, in the beginning I was having issues managing my resources, so now it's a little bit better. I have Divines on the head. This is a heavy set to increase the Mundstone effect, again, to give me a little bit more max magicka. Shoulders, I have Grothdar Light with the magicka enchantment. This one I have Invigorating to give me a little bit more health, magicka, and stamina recovery. Again, it's all about surviving and managing your resources. For the chest, I'm rocking a 5-piece shackle breaker. So chest, I'm going heavy with a max Magicka enchantment, infused to increase my Magicka enchantment. The reason why I have shackle breakers is because it adds a little bit of everything. Plus, I like the fact that it adds stamina and Magicka recovery. Again, the stamina it saved my ass so many times just having that little extra bit. Again, that's heavy. On my waist, I'm going light, shackle breaker, max Magicka, impenetrable to increase my critical resistance by 246, plus the item takes 50% less durability. Again, all about surviving in PvP. Shackle breaker hands, Magicka enchantment, this is a light piece with impenetrable to increase the critical resistance. Legs, light, max Magicka enchantment. This one I have infused to give me a little bit more resources. Feet, shackle breakers, light, max Magicka, impenetrable to help me survive a little bit more. For the jewelry, 3-piece willpower. For the neck, I went with additional spell damage, but I went with healthy to increase my max health a little bit. Again, I really was having issues surviving in PvP, so every little piece of health, for me, helped out a lot. For the rings, spell damage, arcane, max Magicka for both of them. If you are having issues sustaining your character for Magicka, don't be afraid to substitute damage for recovery. Because, like I said again, if you run out of your resources on a Magicka DPS and PvP, you are literally screwed. And that was the hard thing for me to get used to. So for the skills, my skills on my front bar, I have Flame Reach. This does the 5600 flame damage and the additional 6500 flame damage over 8 seconds. The primary reason why I really like this skill is because it knocks the enemy back 5 meters, so it stuns them. I really like to combine this when my Crystal Frag is procced, primarily because the enemy gets stunned, so even if they CC break it, they're still stunned for that little bit, and I can nail them with my Crystal Frag, which does a ton of damage on a character. It puts them down pretty quickly. For the second one, Crystal Frag, again, I highly recommend using this when it procs, because if you don't, it does take a lot more Magicka. But this one deals 13,000 Magicka damage. Casting any other ability has a 35% chance of causing the next Crystal Frag to be instant, dealing 10% more damage. So that's why I like to combine it with the Flame Reach, because it does, just these two items alone do a ton of damage. And I'm also doing Hardened Ward. This helps me survive a little bit, so this I think is probably one of the best damage Magicka shields, spell shields in the game. So it absorbs 15,000 damage for 6 seconds. Your own globe absorbs 33% additional damage. Again, this is crucial to the build, I think, in PvP for surviving. So Hardened Ward is an absolute must. For the next ability, I have Dark Conversion, but this allows me to bargain with darkness, and it helps restore health and some Magicka. So again, this helps with survivability. What I like to do is, going into a big battle, I'll usually throw my Hardened Ward on, and then I'll put my Dark Conversion on. As I start getting hit, make sure you find a spot to kind of hide behind, put the Dark Conversion on to help you heal a little bit and give you additional Magicka. But I really recommend this skill. It is a must for sustain with your resources. Also, the next skill I have, Streak. Basically, Streak will deal 5600 flame damage, plus it'll stun an enemy. But I primarily use this for escapes. Like I said, I didn't know bombers were a thing in PvP because I am relatively new, and I can't tell you how much this saved my ass from those situations. I cannot believe ZeniMax has not done anything to bombers yet, but man, is it flippin' brutal. So absolutely, Streak is a must to get away from those situations. Plus, if you get into an encounter and you know you're just not going to win, you can streak away. Plus, if you go through the enemy, it's going to stun them, so you can actually turn the tide a little bit on the battle if you use this correctly. But this is I primarily use this for escape. And then for my ultimate, I have Eye of the Flame, Destruction Staff ultimate. A lot of these battles are close encounters, so I like to keep it on this to do a lot of damage. Again, this helps with tanks when they're attacking you. On my back bar, I have the Mage's Wrath, which calls down lightning, dealing 34 or 69 shock damage. Also, I like this ability because if you have an enemy that's low health, below 20%, this also does a explosion to enemies nearby. So this is good for groups of people. Again, this is really good skill to use, but really awesome if you get an enemy with low health, because it could do a ton of damage to the people around them. Haunting Curse. Anytime I go into a battle, I usually focus the I'll apply the Haunting Curse before I do anything. I absolutely love this ability. I loved it in PvP too, so I'm glad I'm having a good time. I'm glad I'm able to use it in PvP. But again, this is kind of like the back bar is like my area of effect damage. So the explosion does a lot of damage. The second explosion does even more. Plus it does Magicka damage to all nearby enemies for an additional 8 seconds. Again, before I get to any battle, this is the absolute first thing I do is I apply a Haunted Curse on somebody. I have Harness of Magicka. Just as a side note, this does require 5 pieces of light armor. But this is just, again, to help you survive. It's a damage shield that absorbs up to 15,000 damage for 6 seconds. Also, while it's activated up to 3 times when spell damage is absorbed, you restore some Magicka. So again, this helps sustain your resources a little bit. So I really like using this ability on my back bar. You could also apply it after you throw your spell shield from the front bar as well. Restoration Staff ability, I have Steadfast Ward, which basically, again, this helps me survive. It also helps my allies survive, adding an additional health to them. And it also applies a damage shield. The shield strength is increased up to 300% depending on the severity of the target's wounds. So again, back bar, surviving is crucial. I absolutely love this ability. I can't wait to morph it. It has not been morphed yet. Also, Power Surge. Basically, I use this before going. Basically, what I'll do is going into a battle, I'll use this. I'll apply my Haunted Curse, and this just gives you major brutality and major sorcery, increasing both your weapon and spell damage by 20% for 33 seconds. Also, it deals a critical strike that heals your health for 2,500, and this effect occurs every 1 second. So again, helps surviving, helps you stay alive. And on my back bar, I'm using the suppression field. What I do is sometimes for my lightning ability, I'll substitute it for the lightning AoE ability. What I like to do, this is big with the whole bomber thing as well, is I apply this down. If you're in groups, find out who has some shooting stars procced, because if you lay this down and someone does a shooting star immediately, it does a ton of damage and you will wipe out multiple people. Also, the enemies their magic is silenced, so they cannot heal themselves underneath this dome. So you could do a lot of damage if you catch enemies off guard with it. Use this for mobs of enemies, and if you play in groups, coordinate with your group and make sure that someone has a shooting star proc or something that does a lot of damage on their ultimate. Even the Destro Staff ultimate would be very good for this. So communicate, but I really like this ability primarily because they can't really heal themselves when they're in this dome, and you could get a lot of kills from using it. For my champion points, this I had to completely redistribute. Like I said, PvE and PvP, completely different beast. So far I have, I forget how many champion, I have 634 champion points. So under the Apprentice, I have 37 in the Elf Burn, 49 in the elemental damage, 75 in the spell erosion to increase my spell penetration. I am going to keep buffing this up to probably around 80-ish. Elemental and elf burn are pretty good where they are right now. The Atronach, I have Master at Arms at 41 and Staff Expert at 8. Primarily, you know, I'm using the staff a lot to help recover my Magicka resources, so I did pump a little bit into here. I might do a couple more points into that just to add the little bit of damage. Thermoflage, increase your damage over time effects. Right now on my character, I don't have that many damage over time effects. I will put more points into this, but right now I just have one because everything's really used for single target in PvP based on this build, on how I built it. For the steed, we're going pretty much a little into everything. So I have 28 in the ironclad, which I'll pump a little more into. Spell shield 14, 38 in the resistance. Spell shield I'll pump a little bit more into. The lady, I have Hardy at 37, 37 at Elemental Defender, which I'll pump a little more into, and then Thick Skin. And then for the Lord, I have 37 in the Bastion, just increases the effectiveness of your damage shields. If you remember the skills that I'm using on this build, I have a lot of damage shields on there. I think I have 2 or 3. So this is a really helpful buff towards those shields, again, to help you survive. For the tower, 44 in the Warlord, 6 in the Sprinter. I'll probably put a little bit more in the Sprinter. Warlord reduces the cost of break free. One thing I noticed in PvP, there's a lot of stun moves. People use a lot of stun abilities, so limited the cost of break free is always great. In the Thief, 64 in the Arcane for that extra Magicka recovery. Tenacity to increase my Magicka and Stamina recovery on fully charged attacks. Again, I use fully charged attacks a lot in PvP to help restore my Magicka pool. So 43 Tenacity, 64 into Arcane. For the Shadow, I have 31 in the Tumbling to reduce my cost roll. Again, surviving is key. Shadow Ward to reduce my block cost. Again, surviving is key. So that is basically my build. Again, this is for beginners who are just wanting to jump into PvP. This is a really solid build. I've had a lot of fun with it. As per usual, I'll post some clips at the end of the video. Oh, excuse me, I'm having a cold this week. I'll post some clips in the video so you can see. Again, a lot of the clips I made, I wanted to focus on surviving so people could see that you do stand a chance in PvP with this build. But again, I know there's better builds out there. I'm only 4 days into PvP, so please post your builds down in the comments below. Help me out, help the community out. We're all learning. I'm having a lot of fun with this right now. Please make sure to subscribe to the video. I will be posting more build videos. And just as a reminder, tomorrow, March 10th, I'm having... it starts my special event for the weekend. So basically anything any drops I get grinding out Gold Coast and Hughes Bane, I'm giving away for free. So make sure you follow me on my Twitch channel because you must be a follower to be eligible for the items. But even motifs I'm giving away for free. So take full advantage of it. Save up some gold because you don't need to spend it on these items. You're gonna save a ton of money on gold in game. So make sure you check that out. But please subscribe to the video, to the channel, excuse me, like the video, post comments below, let me know what build you're using. Like I said, this is a beginner's build to help people get into PvP. I look forward to seeing your builds and progressing this character further as I move on. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great Friday. Everyone have a great weekend. I'll see you on my Twitch channel. Take advantage of it. Have a good day.
Oh, there's Red coming behind. Big group of them too. You talking about knocking the guy off the wall? Is that knocking the guy off the wall? I know, I'm gonna have to load that clip up on my YouTube channel. That's pretty hilarious. Yeah, that's... I'm getting a ton of AP for this one.